And that's for the piggies in every US city thinking a seat in the back row is Porsche because of European history. They miss seeing the monocle though, so I be in the front row on days I am making dough. All alone, in the zone, on the phone, until the trailers go off the screen, along with all those production companies that never did a thing for me.
Gillespie's SuperGirl is a loose adaptation of Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow, with enough James Gunn-isms brought over from his time over at Marvel Studios to fit into his take on the DCU. The former is somewhat of a letdown because the film lacks an original storyline, but that's just a detraction any motion picture based on comic books has to inherently overcome. The latter is a definitive letdown because the Gunn pastiche of launching characters into space and turning every climatic fight into a music video has long lost its luster. Also, the decision yet again to have another super family film set around Krypto while shunning Streaky the Super Cat is yet another unforgivable sin that rears its ugly head in Gunn's works. But this is a Gillespie film. I didn't get any hints of what Gillespie's style actually is here. It just seemed like Gillespie was trying to do his best James Gunn impression. Eve Ridley pops up in the cast to turn this Woman of Tomorrow adaptation into a buddy cop film that, given her age, also morphs Supergirl into Super Babysitter. I already put down the recent Elseworlds Supergirl Survive miniseries midway into the second issue because of this. Actually, that's why, as someone who's loved Tom King's Miracle Man and his current run on Wonder Woman, I never got past issue 1 of Woman of Tomorrow. Suffice to say, the premise of Supergirl standing in a super mom doesn't translate well in the panels or the big screen. From Sasha Kyle to Millie Alcock, don't ask me why it's such a challenge to find an effeminate actress to portray Supergirl, a paragon of femininity. It's not like Marvel Studios doesn't have this problem too by hiring Dominique Dorn, Ironheart, or Letitia Wright, Black Panther, but it shouldn't be a race between the big two to see who could turn the masculine dial up on some of their biggest female heroes. Yet in Gillespie's film, this is again what audiences are presented with. I can't forget to mention that the destruction of Krypton scenes derailed this film and are now in league with being the most annoying DC film trope this side of Martha Wayne's pearls lying on the ground. When shaving off the Krypton scenes and the scenes of Krypto, this film easily loses a full hour. That's terrible, given the epic runtime. This is a Supergirl film. How all the sex appeal for this pop culture icon has been left in '84 with Helen Slater in the Donnerverse is an atrocity. Again with the damn boy shorts under the skirt. I was mad when Jamal Igo and the rest of the new Krypton team was drawing Supergirl like that back in the late 2000s when I started buying comics. My fuse continues to stay lit. The only redeeming qualities of Alcock's portrayal of Supes is her cynicism and sarcasm. But if I close my eyes, I could insert Zendaya into the film and get the same results with far more allure. I guess that's what happens when a film's protagonist is written to be the voice of a royally fucked generation. Since the plotline, yet again in a Gunverse film, revolves heavily around saving Krypto, there is a very stupid scene late in the film. Supergirl shakes off virtually the same poison Krypto gets infected with early on in the film, negating one of the main plot points since they both basically have the same physiology. Ridiculous. And this is a superhero flick. And if I were going to continue to pick at the film, I could poke up Momoa's portrayal of Lobo and how his makeup was shoddy, beard not the right height, eyes not enough blood. Or how by the end of the film, Supergirl's arc is that of the modern Western woman who, despite claiming strength and independence, ends up on the couch of at least one of her extended family members. But at least Alcock's Supergirl has the bite to back up her bark. Even though she has Lobo and Superman to watch over her, she essentially does her own stunts, eats what she kills, and holds her own liquor. If showing that Supergirl has a pair of nuts under her skirt is what Gillespie was aiming for, then his film is a job well done. But having half of the film dedicated to either Krypto or Krypton in peril wasn't necessary to get that point across. Biting James Gunn's GOTG style doesn't score Gillespie any points here either, as much as Alcock's impression of Zendaya robs her of any originality, in a film where only the black underage sex slave and her family get slaughtered while trying to escape human traffickers, which makes for a stereotype that Kryptonians are terrible at math, since Supergirl thought she saved all the trafficking victims and yet had a whole caravan of victims left to save on top of the sacrificed girl, only for Supergirl to shift the guilt of being a half-assed superhero onto her own traumas, pushing for a forced, single-tier Hollywood moment. But this is really just a stark reminder at how, no matter how bad others have it, the caricature of America's Aryan princess really believes she has it the worst, and simultaneously that she is the best. And by that Kryptonian math, you can't tell her any different.
And that's for the piggies in every US city thinking a seat in the back row is Porsche because of European history. They miss seeing the monocle though, so I be in the front row on days I am making dough. All alone, in the zone, on the phone, until the trailers go off the screen, along with all those production companies that never did a thing for me.